Okay, so real quick, let's talk about what solving a quadratic equation means. It's making the equation equal 0. And normally we're used to these being written as y equals x squared minus 3x because we just got done graphing them. So we're finding where y is 0. And on the graph, where is y 0? Well, that's your x-intercepts. So really we're finding the x-intercepts of this quadratic equation. And I say intercepts because most of the time, the majority of the time, there's two. There's situations where there's just one, and then there's situations where there are no real x-intercepts, but we'll talk about that a little bit farther down the line. So for today, you'll expect most of the time you'll have two. So there's three different ways to factor. We've got greatest common factor, we've got star method, and then we have star method with divide and slide. So you need to kind of check on them in that order. So definitely check for a GCF. If GCF doesn't work, try star method. And if there's a leading coefficient, you'll want to do divide and slide. So on this one, there is a GCF. Both of these have an X. So you can actually factor out an x, which is going to take this down to x minus 3. Now, once you have it factored, finding what makes the equation 0 is actually not that bad. You have to look at each individual factor and what makes that factor 0. So since this first factor is just an x, well, how do I make that 0? Well, it would be 0. So I'm going to pause right there for just a second and prove it to you. I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to actually plug this in. So I'm going to plug 0 in for both x's. Now, before I hit enter, let's think about this. The outside of the parenthesis is 0. The inside of the parentheses, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So the calculator is doing 0 times negative 3. Well, it doesn't matter what the inside of the parenthesis is, right? It's being multiplied by 0. We know anything times 0 is 0. So the fact that making the outside of that parenthesis 0 automatically makes the whole equation 0. So that's one of your intercepts. It's going to go through the origin, okay? Now the second intercept is going to come from inside the parentheses. Well, I can make the outside of the parentheses 0, but I can also make the inside of the parentheses 0. So what x value would do that? Well, what minus 3 is 0? Well, that would be positive 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. Check it in the calculator. So this time, we'll pretend we didn't even find out 0. We're just checking x equals 3. So both x's would have to be 3. So 3 parentheses 3 minus 0. So this time, you got a 3 outside. The inside, I'm sorry, that should be 3 minus 3. I don't know where I got the 0 from. My apologies. 3 parentheses 3 minus 3. A lot of 3's. So the outside is 3. The inside, the calculator is going to do 3 minus 3 and make that 0. So again, we're doing something times 0. And anything times 0 is 0. So I have two different x values that I can plug in, 0 and 3, where they have the same answer and y is 0. Now, another way you can check your work, so this is one way you can check your work. Another way we can check our work is by going to our favorite graphing calculator, Desmos. I'm going to type in the original equation, y equals x squared minus 3x. And where is y 0? When x is 0. And when x is 3. Those are the only two places on this quadratic function that the y value is going to be 0. It's the only two ways we can make this equation equal 0 at these two numbers.